Good evening. I will call this closed session to order at 5:30. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak or has any correspondence been received on closed session items?
There are none.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, the City Council will now go to closed session at 5:30. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. If everyone can please take their seats, we're about to get started. Will everyone please take their seats? We're about to get started. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, good evening, Menifee. I'll call this meeting to order at 6:01. Mr. City Attorney, are there any items to report out of closed session?
Thank you, Mayor. There are no reportable actions today.
Thank you, City Attorney Melching. Madam Clerk, have you received any correspondence on tonight's agenda?
Yes, we did, and it's in your red folders.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll check those out. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dinas.
Here.
Councilmember Diedrich is absent. Councilmember Temple.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Carwin.
Here.
And Mayor Estrada.
Here. Next, we're on our words of inspiration. Would Rebecca Anderson with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints please come to the podium to provide the words? Good evening, Mrs. Anderson.
Good evening. Good evening, council members and citizens of Menifee. I'd like to take a moment to reflect on a powerful, often quiet force that brings us all here, and that's service. I first and foremost serve my Heavenly Father. I serve my family. In my work, I serve the children in the Menifee Union School District. And at church, I serve the women in my congregation of one of the largest women's organizations in the entire world. Service is more than a role or a title. It is a mindset. It is the decision day after day to show up, not for applause, not for reward, but because we believe in something greater than ourselves. We believe in community. Service asks us to listen when it is easier to speak, to build when it is easier to criticize, to lead with empathy when it would be easier to walk away. It invites us to roll up our sleeves, not just in times of crisis, but in the everyday work of improving lives. In city council chambers like these, service becomes visible. It's seen in the hours spent reviewing policies, in the late night calls from constituents, in the uncomfortable conversations about hard decisions. But it's also seen in small victories, potholes fixed, parks cleaned, programs launched, and hope restored. Let us never forget, every decision we make ripples outward. Someone will walk safer, breathe cleaner, live better, because we chose to serve with intention and compassion. So today, as you dive into the business of this city, do it not out of obligation, but out of purpose. Let us remember that true service isn't about recognition, it's about responsibility. The responsibility to leave our community stronger, more just, and more united than we found it. Thank you, council members, for your service to the city of Menifee. I leave these thoughts with you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Mrs. Anderson. We appreciate your words of inspiration and appreciate you coming to City Hall tonight. Next, we're going to go on to our Pledge of Allegiance, and we have our Parks, Recreation, and Trails Commissioner Chair, David Faust here. Chair Faust, can you please lead us in the pledge, sir?
Everyone please stand. Right hand on heart, hats removed, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Faust, for leading us in the pledge. Next, we're going to go on to presentations, and tonight for presentations, we have two. The first one is going to be for the Menifee Lakes Golf Course, and the second is going to be recognition of our great Menifee Police Department officers. First, we'll start off with the Menifee Lakes Golf Course, and I would like to invite our Economic Development Manager, Kayla Charters, up to the front to help the council present. Council, will you please join me up front?
Good evening. Ooh, okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kayla Charters. I'm the Economic Development Manager here for the City of Menifee. Tonight, I'm here to present our Business Spotlight. Quarterly, we pick one of our businesses that make Menifee unique, something that brings tourism and supports our unique identity here in our community. So today, we are honoring the Menifee Lakes Golf Course. Menifee Lakes Golf Course is a regional destination. It brings golfers from all over the area to come to our beautiful city, and while they're hitting golf balls, they're also getting to dine at our restaurants and visit our community. So with that, that's why we're honoring our Menifee Lakes Golf Course, which is a 18-hole championship golf course for a total of 36 holes and designed by respected golf course architect Ted Robinson. This golf course is known for its thoughtful layout and over 100 bunkers and scenic features throughout the property. The golf club offers a great experience for both casual golfers and experienced golfers. I am not an experienced golfer, and I still have a great time when I go out. It regularly hosts charity golf tournaments, corporate outings, and community events, so we're very thankful that they play an active role in our community. And the clubhouse also serves as a venue for weddings, private gatherings, and special celebrations. So as part of our Business Spotlight, we put together a short video to honor our Business Spotlight each quarter. So with that, I'm going to ask if we can go ahead and roll the video.
36-hole property, which is very unique in this area. When you first walk up for the first time and you see all the lakes, and it just makes you feel, kind of gives you a grounded feel. The amenities include full-service driving range, a full-service bar. We have a full-service retail shop. We have tees specifically designed just for beginners and also challenging enough for advanced players as well.
Thank you. And tonight we have our general manager for the course, Will Harris, here. If you can come on and join me up here. And I'm happy to turn the floor over to you if you'd like to share a few words.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We're excited as the golf course being a part of this community. And what's more exciting for us is the fact that Menifee is growing at the rate that it's doing. I think everyone here is doing a great job. Thank you so much.
And I'll go ahead and read this recognition for you and the golf course, Mr. Harris. In recognition of your dedication to the Menifee community and your continued commitment to improving the quality of life of our residents, congratulations, and thank you for your continued support to the city of Menifee. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite our acting chief, Chief Gutierrez, to the front podium to present, please, and present our next presentation on our great Menifee Police Department.
Hello, everybody. Acting Chief of Police here, Captain Heriberto Gutierrez. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here today participating in this wonderful moment where we get to honor two of our hardworking police officers, Jordan Sadler, if you can please join me up here, and Eduardo Licona, if you can join me up here. On March 27th of this year, they had the opportunity to respond to a medical aid, which they heard on in their vehicles by using technology called Live 911, which allows them to hear 911 calls prior to them being broadcasted by our dispatchers. These officers heard a phone call come in where Ms. Geraldine Newman, who is here today with us, was suffering from a heart attack. With Ms. Geraldine, please join us if you don't mind. Yes.
Come on up.
The officers arrived. I'm gonna let her stand here right in center. Miss Geraldine suffered from a heart attack that night at the Black Bear Diner here in Menifee. Our officers responded because they heard that phone call coming in live. They arrived, and there were actually three citizens who were already providing some medical aid to Ms. Newman. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here today with us, but the two officers provided CPR, used a defibrillator, and after over 4 minutes, they brought her back to life. So we wanted to honor them here today with a life-saving award. But before we do that, if we can play a short video that will allow you to see some of what happened that night. And this is the first time as Geraldine sees this.
On March 27th, 2025, Menifee police officers had just completed a call for service when they overheard a live 911 broadcast reporting a woman suffering a medical emergency inside Black Bear Diner in the city of Menifee.
Black Bear Diner at Bradley and McCall. We've got a potential heart attack here. She's been on the floor for several minutes.
Somebody diverted underneath 97 Black Bear Diner for that heart attack.
Officers arrived on scene and entered the restaurant with a department-issued AED. Inside, a bystander and a restaurant employee had already begun CPR on the unresponsive female.
Just keep doing CPR for me, okay? Hey.
Officers took over chest compressions and applied the AED and began to administer CPR.
3304 CPR and partners. No pulse.
After over 4 minutes of CPR, the woman regained consciousness and began to breathe on her own.
I got a pulse. I got a pulse. 3304, we were able to get a pulse.
Due to the swift actions of the nearby community members, as well as our officers utilizing Live 911, the female is still with us today.
So as much as we're honored to honor our officers, it's a great honor to have you here with us and a pleasure. And thank you for being here, you and your husband. She actually went on vacation some days after that. So, and she's accompanied today by her family, her son, and her daughter-in-law. So one works for CAL FIRE, and the other is a deputy with Riverside County Sheriff's Department, sergeant. So with that, if you could help me present these, sir. Yes, we have some certificates to present and a life-saving pin to each officer. This one stays. Congratulations to you both, and thank you, and it's great to have you here, Ms. Newman. Yes, you're welcome. Round of applause for everybody. Congratulations.
Yes, officers and everyone here in attendance, this is the pinnacle of public safety here in the city of Menifee, and I would love to say just to both of you, God bless you, and we're happy to have provided help for you, and our officers here in Menifee, we support them, we love them, and we want to make sure that we deliver the best service for you, and we're happy that our public safety came through for you. Yes. Would you like to share a few words?
Say thank you to everybody that was involved. It's means so much to me, and I'm so thankful to be here. And you gentlemen are just right on the top of my list. Right on the top. Thank you so much.
Would you two like to say any few words?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for all of you who came to attend. It actually makes me a little emotional, so I know that this is going to be broadcasted to the rest of the city and the world, but It's amazing to see that the person that we were able to help is standing here with us today. And we're thankful for the training that we received to be able to provide life-saving efforts. So we're very happy for you, and we wish you all the best.
And our citizen, Mrs. Pariklas, who was there to help on scene, just arrived. Good evening, Mrs. Pariklas. How are you? Yes. The City of Menifee and the Police Department would like to present to you this Distinguished Citizen Award. We appreciate your service to our community, and we are very grateful for all you've done for us. Thank you. Yes. Would help you with that. Okay. I can hold the mic. Would you like to share a few words with the city?
Sure. I just never thought that what I did would matter, but I'm just glad that she's standing here now, walking and healthy. And I want to thank everyone for coming, and the police, and for inviting me as well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. God bless you.
Your 3 minutes. Yeah, I know.
Wow. God bless our residents and God bless our police department. Next, we are on agenda approval or modifications. Madam Clerk, are there any modifications to tonight's agenda?
There are none.
Thank you. Can I ask the City Council for all in favor to approve the agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Next, we are on public comments on non-agendized items. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments on non-agendized items?
We do.
Okay. Seeing as there are comments, I'll go ahead and read this statement out loud for the public. This is the time for members of the public to address the council about items which are not listed on the agenda. The Ralph M. Brown Act limits the council's ability to respond to comments on non-agendized matters at the time such comments are made. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes on any single item. Madam Clerk, can you please call the first speaker?
We have Greg Langworthy, followed by Jim Nedrecker.
Good evening, Mr. Langworthy.
Evening. So I and Jim are part of a group called the Riverside Election Integrity Team, and we're going to talk about our election system in Riverside County. We did the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. I think you guys would all agree that the foundation of our republic is our ability to free and fair elections. That's the way that we get the consent of the governed. So, and we did golf presentation tonight. I'm a golfer. One of the things you'll learn at golf, you got to play by the rules. Like it or not, that's how a game is fair, is playing by the rules. So I'm going to read 4 election laws that we think are really important to obey in our county. First is the voter rolls must be accurate. You can only send out ballots to people who are actually registered and living in Riverside County. Only eligible voters can vote. Can't have somebody from New York voting in our elections. System has to be highly accurate. And then this last one, I don't know if you've heard this, but this is a way to test the accuracy of an election. The ballots cast must equal the votes counted by the election system. And I've handed out to you just a little graphic of our audit. And what we did is something very simple, but you do it anytime you balance your checkbook. You get your receipts and you want to see if the bank is giving you the same number that you have in your check register. And so you check your receipts against the total in your bank. And that's all we did. We collected all the ballots that were cast in the 2024 election using ballot statements. How many ballots were cast in 2024? And then we just checked and say, did the machines, the voting machines that we've got up in Moreno Valley, I don't know if you've ever been to the ROV, but they've got these big machines that they count the ballots with. Did it equal? Did the ballots cast at all those vote centers, you guys have vote centers here in Menifee, did it equal the number of votes counted by the machines? And it didn't. And this was our concern. It was off by 33,888. And we are currently in discussion with our registrar, and we don't think the issue is with him and our supervisors. We're going to keep you posted on this. We've finished the audit. We know that the totals did not equal, and now we're trying to figure out why did that happen. But we will keep you posted. But we want to bring this to your attention because you take an oath to the Constitution just like the supervisors do. It's you guys who protect our right to fair representation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Langworthy. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next speaker?
Jim Nedrecker, followed by Mike Knighton.
Welcome, Mr. Nedrecker.
Thank you. Good evening. My name's Jim Niederecker, and I'm also with the Riverside Election Integrity Team. And I want to share another very important finding, which is the integrity of our voter rolls. Our team is working with a group called United Sovereign Americans, or USA, which is a 501c4 election integrity group. They're a 100% volunteer organization. They have thousands of volunteers over 20 different states. What USA did is they purchased and analyzed voter rolls in many states. And the data team volunteers who executed the research and analyzed these voter rolls are a group of highly credentialed professionals. A partial list of the team's degrees and certifications includes computer science, electrical engineering, mathematics, statistics, computer information systems, and physics. The list goes on and on. The analysis that these folks did is rock solid. It would stand any scrutiny in court. There's a scorecard on the USA website, and I failed to make copies of this, but I'll leave this with the clerk, and the clerk can share this with you. And what it shows in the 2022 election, that there were 21.6 voters on the rolls that were completely unverifiable in 7 different states. In this data set for these states, 5.6% of the voters do not exist. They're fictitious, they're ghosts. People do not exist. 12.3% of the registrants had addresses that were completely invalid. And so this has got to be shocking data for you. In California, the voters that did not exist was almost 1 million out of 11 million registrants, and there were 2.2 million addresses that were invalid. These are significant numbers. You do have this handout where we actually have the data for California, and then I estimated what it would be for Riverside based on registrants, and then I estimated what it would be here in Menifee based on population, because I don't know how many registrants you have. And what we see in Menifee is that invalid addresses, 1,309, cancellations that didn't happen that should have, 1,356. My favorite, birthplace altered, 377. That means that there's folks on the rolls that were born in a country outside the U.S. like Afghanistan or Cuba, and then the rolls would change to show USA. So these are significant. There's also data that the county did with Experian that showed 270,000 address verifications were required prior to the 2024 election, and they didn't do those. They had the data, but they didn't correct. So what I'm asking for you is go look at the USA website. I invite you to support our team as we work with the county. And lastly, that data that from Experian was, you guys paid for vote by mail ballots to be sent out. 20% of those were undeliverable. So the city paid 20% too much.
I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I know. I always talk too long, but
yeah.
Anyway, look at what you spent for those ballots sent out. 20% of those monies you shouldn't have paid.
Thank you.
And we don't want that to happen again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next speaker?
Mike Knighton, followed by Gloria Sanchez.
Welcome, Mr. Knighton.
Good evening, council, staff, members of the public. I got scared with all those officers in there because I stole one of council members Dietrich's M&Ms. So, Dan, you get the rest of them. What I'm here for tonight is, I picked tonight because it's kind of a light evening. But on November 20th, I was up here letting you know my concern about the Kokorian demo. On page 3 of the staff report, it stated the demo would tentatively start December 2024 and be completed in February 2025. I calculated that to be a maximum of 13 weeks for completion. The project didn't start till January 24th. They were unloading on the 23rd, actually. It's now been almost 19 weeks since AD Improvements started this project. On page 3 of the contract between the city and ADI, section 1.5 states, time is of the essence in the performance of this agreement. Contractors shall devote such time to the performance of the services pursuant to this agreement as may be reasonable and necessary to satisfy contractors' obligations hereunder. And, you know, I'm not going to continue any more from there. Drove by again today. There's still a lot of work over there that needs to be completed. I still have concerns about the price, 120,000 or something below the estimation, but they're going to lose their ass. Sorry, they're going to lose their butt. I had a brief conversation with one of you guys, and a couple months ago, I was satisfied with the response I got from you. but there's been no progress since. It's been 6.5 months since the council awarded the contract, and I think it's time for the public to receive an update. Secondly, since I got you, Mr. Pro Tem, when you're doing your councilman updates, I'm requesting you bring up the next Tuesday's event at Storm Stadium, just so I don't see any members of the Rotary here or anyone else involved. So if you could take care of that, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knighton. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next speaker?
Gloria Sanchez, followed by Jesse Sims.
Welcome, Ms. Sanchez.
Good afternoon, good evening, Mayor, City Council, residents, staff. Can I lower this? Oh, they can hear me. They don't have to see me. They can hear me.
You look good on screen.
Yeah. I'm here today as chair of the Menifee Senior Advisory Committee. I want to share with you something that we do on an annual basis, and you have a copy before you. And this is called the Menifee Senior Resource Guide. It's something that we do every year. We update it with all new information, added information, we edit it. This is something that we want our seniors to have, but not only seniors, we want the families to have this. One of our challenges is how do we distribute this? We, the Senior Advisory Committee, we take it out to the libraries, we take it out to senior HOAs, we take it to as many places as they will allow us to leave this information. We hope that one day you will look at this as something that should be distributed via mail. We know there's a cost very similar to our Menifee Matters, but this is an important information for all citizens of Menifee to have this information that they can share with their seniors, their loved ones, their family. And if you look at it, you are in this resource guide, and it is important to know that you support this guide and hope that we can spend more time, effort, and monies on distribution of this type of publication. We thank you for your support. We thank the Community Services Department because they are the ones who do a lot of the printing, but it is a committee who helps update this information on an annual basis. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next speaker?
Jesse Sims.
Mr. Sims, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council and staff, and members of the public. My name is Jesse Sims, and I'm the president and owner of Netvolutions Technology Group and also the chair of the Menifee Valley Chamber of Commerce. I would like to begin my comments by thanking the City of Menifee for its continued support of the Chamber. Your partnership to us is invaluable and for our mission of growing and supporting the local businesses here in the City of Menifee. I have a few updates from the Chamber. First, our Legislative Council through the Southwest Legislative Council is actively engaging in conversations regarding AQMD Rule 1111 and 1121. Formal comments are expected to be submitted by the SWCLC for the AQMD hearing on June 6th. On May 23rd, we successfully held the Patriots Golf Tournament with 86 golfers in attendance. We look forward to hosting this again next year. I'd also like to comment that I was on the winning team and hit an eagle on the second hole. The Chamber celebrated the ribbon cutting of the Riverside County Carnival in May. We look forward to prosperous talks with the Riverside County Carnival in the future. Our legislative committee will convene this Friday to discuss any proposed bills affecting Menifee businesses. Our local meeting usually takes place prior to the Southwest Council Legislative Council meeting, which is held next Monday, June 9th, at SRCAR building at 11:30. All are welcome to attend. On May 28th, we celebrated the Student of the Year for the Paris Union High School District, which included students from Paloma Valley High School and Heritage High School. Big thanks to Sally Myers and the Student of the Month program. On June 10th, the Chamber will hold its monthly business social meeting at Menifee Senior Living. It's an island luau, so come dressed appropriate for the occasion. On June 12th, the Chamber is participating with the city's economic development team to conduct our annual Keep Walk. This is the Keeping Existing Employers Profitable program. The walk is an opportunity to service 200 businesses, and we want to know how their businesses are doing and what challenges they anticipate. I don't have time for the rest of my updates, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. Madam Clerk, are there any other speakers?
No other speakers.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, next we're going to go on to council member updates and comments. Council Member Temple, you have the honor of leading us off tonight.
Thanks, Mayor. On Friday, May 23rd, I attended the Community Concert Live Jam up at the Center for Spiritual Living. On Monday, May 26th, I attended the Memorial Day ceremony here at the city. On Wednesday, May 28th, I spoke at the Santa Rosa Academy graduation commencement. On Monday, June 2nd, I was in Riverside attending the Riverside Conservation Authority meeting. And finally, on Tuesday, June 3rd, I was here for the Menifee Masters graduation. That's my report.
Thank you, Councilman Temple. Councilman Dynas.
Thank you, Mayor. The May 22nd, I attended the RTA Board of Directors meeting. As Jesse had mentioned, the 23rd, they had the Patriot Cup game. Our team probably would have won too, but I left my eraser at home. And they had me on the team, so there was a double whammy. Then on the 28th, I had the Southwest Teen Now Subcommittee for RTA. Yesterday, we did attended the Menifee Masters graduation. Great partnership with our real estate companies and realtors. And then today, I attended the RTA Admin and Operations Committee meeting. And before I give that up, I wanted, since I didn't get a chance while the officers were here, didn't get a chance to say anything, but this is part of the reason I chose Hometown of Heroes as the theme for this year when I was Mayor Pro Tem. This is a great example of it, of what our community receives and from our police department and from our residents here, so that's really great. The last thing is, I thought I was bad standing next to Mayor Pro Tem Carwin, but standing next to Officer Stadler, I was even worse. I could almost see his shoulders, but that's all I have. Thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem Carwin.
Thank you. I was thinking it might be the first time I get my head in a picture. So I attended WRCOG Executive Committee meeting, and at that meeting, just to report out, Director Kurt Wilson was granted a salary increase with a cost of living increase and merit pay to make him more competitive with people of his stature in the community. I attended a RCTC budget briefing and meeting. I believe all 5 of us were at the Menifee Masters graduation. That was a great opportunity there. And we were also all at the Memorial Day Remembrance Ceremony, always one of the highlights, and we get compliments from that every year on that. Let's see, the mayor and I were both at the Teen Recognition Night for the youth leaders of Menifee. That was great to be able to honor our youth and see who's coming up in the future. We're in good hands. Couple of announcements by request. On June 10th, Tuesday, June 10th, at the Storm Stadium is going to be All Abilities Night. It's being spearheaded by Rotary and our police department. Sheila Lawton's, her son is actually going to be throwing out the first pitch, and it is a night designed for families who have members with sensory sensitivities. So it's going to be a low volume night. They're not going to do fireworks. They're not going to be blasting music. It's going to be so those with sensory sensitivities can get out and enjoy the ballpark and have a great night there. The tickets are general admission, so you can go on the website and sit anywhere you want and be around with your family and friends. There's going to be a special section that if things get to be overwhelming for those with the sensitivities, there's going to be a special section that they can go to and practice their calming techniques. Just we want to make sure everybody gets to enjoy the facilities like that. And I also want to make one more announcement that we're going to be doing a Bradley Bridge community meeting for the SCCA. I lost the date on that. When is that going to be? June 10th, that same night. So if you're in Sun City and you want to come to that, it's at the SCCA building at 5:30. We're going to be doing a briefing on what's happening with the Bradley Bridge, which breaks ground on July 1st, and the expectation of that. And then I had a few really productive meetings with local citizens who had questions, and I went and visited a couple of different businesses and spoke to people and answered some questions. It was a very productive set of meetings, and that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll go ahead and start off with, I attended the Liberty High School Bison Business Spotlight, and there I served as an honorary judge to judge all of the young entrepreneurs in our high school who are looking to start businesses and created business plans for their future endeavors. And I want to say thank you to Kayla Charters for attending, our economic development manager. She helped come and present a $3,000 check to the program there at Liberty High School. And the whole reason we do that with economic development is we want to reinvest our money here in local entrepreneurs for the local startups and help support our youth. So that's a great program that our economic development department is working on year after year. Also, I attended the Memorial Day ceremony with all our fellow council members. That was a great turnout, and we had a beautiful flyover over the ceremony. It was very memorable. I also attended the Teen Recognition Night at the Senior Center with Mayor Pro Tem Carwin, honoring our youth and up-and-coming leaders. I was a master of ceremonies at the Santa Rosa Academy 8th grade promotion. That's always fun. Everyone over there is celebrating. They're out for summer. I attended Career Day at Catherine Newport Middle School with city staff and City Manager Villa and Assistant City Manager Jones and Director Fiddler were there. Margarita Cornejo was there. All the departments here at City Hall came together to share a learning experience on what it's like to choose specific career paths. So I'm proud of the staff for attending that. I attended a town hall at the WellQuest Senior Living Center, answering all of the seniors' questions there. Attended Menifee Interfaith, heard about all of the programs they have coming up this coming year. Last night, I attended the Menifee Masters with all of the council. We were all there in support of our local realtors and sharing all of the growth going on in Menifee. Top 5 fastest growing cities in California and top 15 in all of America. So those realtors here in Menifee are gonna be busy. And then earlier this morning, I attended the Santa Rosa Academy groundbreaking for a new classroom building they'll be having. And that'll be important because with all the growth here in Menifee, our median age being 38, all of the up-and-coming families and young children here, the expansion of that campus is going to be very beneficial for all our students and families here. Okay, and that is all of my updates. Next, we're going to move on to approval of minutes. There's one set of minutes for the council's consideration. Does the council have any modifications? Hearing none, can I ask the city council for an all in favor of approving the May 21st meeting minutes? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the meeting minutes are approved. Okay, next, we're on the consent calendar. All matters on the consent calendar are to be approved in one motion unless a council member requests a separate action on a specific item on the consent calendar. If an item is removed from the consent calendar, it will be discussed individually and acted upon separately. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak on consent calendar items?
There are none.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any items the council wishes to pull for further discussion? Hearing none. Okay, can I get a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar? I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, and that passes 4-0. Madam Clerk, can you please make a note that Councilman Dynas made the second? It looks like on the screen it said Temple. So, You're quick, Dan. So yeah, just a quick clerical error or a correction, if we can do that, please.
The minutes will reflect the correct second.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay. We are done with the consent calendar. Next, we're on public hearing items. The first two public hearing items are procedural formalities for the formation of a CFD and annexation into a CFD. The first is item 11.1 for the formation of CFD 2025-1 of Menifee Vista. Does the City Council wish to hear a full staff report on the item, or does the council wish to go straight to the public hearing? Okay, hearing none. Could I ask, okay, hearing none. All right, can I ask Chief Financial Officer Hickey to introduce the item, please? Good evening, Mr. Hickey.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. It's my pleasure to be here to present this item. This is for an ordinance introducing the CFD formation for CFD 2025-1, known as Menifee Vista. We received a request from the landowner to form the CFD. The CFD will finance costs related to the city as well as Eastern Municipal Water District. It would authorize the issuance of up to $11 million in bonds. The council approved the resolution of intention back in February. It was extended a couple of times for this public hearing due to a change in ownership of the landowner. It's now owned by Richmond American Homes, and so we are ready to proceed with the public hearing. This is a location there. It's sort of bordered by Cimarron Ridge, you can see, which is further developed than what we see in the picture, but it's sort of nestled in the nook of that sea that is where Cimarron Ridge is. The Menifee Vista has 96 single-family homes on 28 acres. The public hearing report was prepared by Spicer Consulting Group, who is our special tax consultant, who estimated the cost of the CFD and the available taxes that could be generated through those properties. Although the amount authorized, I believe it was 11 million, we are looking at approximately 7.86 million in bonds that would fund the reserve fund, the financing costs, and generate 6.78 million in net bond proceeds for the facilities. The facilities that would be paid with the proceeds include a city premium, which is 20% of the fees that would be reimbursed, which is 1.577 million, and then 2.4 million in city facilities, and 2.97 million in EMWD fees and facilities. Again, the project is for 96 homes. The homes range from 1,700 square feet to just over 3,000 square feet. It will also be annexed into CFD 2017-1, which is our maintenance district, or maintenance CFD. The total effective tax rate ranges from 1.97% to 2%, and that will vary kind of depending where the prices of the homes fall, and that's within the 2% limit that is established in the city's financing goals and policies. The overall taxes on the homes will range from about $4,700 to $5,300. And those taxes will escalate at about 2% per year. So the special tax will be levied annually on all of the taxable properties within the CFD based on the rate and method of apportionment which is established for the CFD. The taxes levied are not an obligation of the city and cannot be paid through the general fund, but are only paid through the special taxes levied on the properties within the district. Our timeline here is, again, back in February, we had the resolution of intention Tonight is the public hearing for the formation, and then the second reading of the ordinance will be at the next meeting on June 18th. As the development progresses, the developer will come back and ask to issue bonds, but that will be once the project has progressed to such a level that would establish the ability to issue bonds. So we'll be back at a later date for that. So what we're seeking tonight is to adopt a resolution establishing the Community Facilities District 2025-1, adopt a resolution determining the necessity to incur bonded indebtedness, adopt a resolution certifying the election results of CFD 2025-1, and introduce an ordinance authorizing the levy of special taxes within the CFD. And with that, I would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hickey. Council, do we have any questions for staff? Hearing none. Okay, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing at 6:51. Madam Clerk, can you confirm this public hearing was legally noticed?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments, Madam Clerk?
There are none.
Okay. Have we received any written protests?
No, we have not.
Okay. Are there any persons registered to vote in the territory of the district?
There are none.
Madam Clerk, have the owners of all the taxable property consented to holding the special election immediately following the public hearing?
Yes, they have.
Okay. Madam Clerk, do you concur that the special election may be held this evening?
I do.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:52. Does the City Council have any other comments or things they would like to discuss? Hearing none, then I'll ask for a motion and a second to adopt a resolution establishing CFD number 2025-1 and calling an election, and a resolution determining the necessity to incur bonded indebtedness.
So moved.
Okay, I'll second. Okay, that passes 4-0. Madam Clerk, have you received the official ballots and waivers from the landowners who can cast their votes on behalf of the owners of all the property?
Yes, I have, and they were a yes vote.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask for a motion and a second to adopt a resolution declaring the election results? I'll move it. Okay, that passes 4-0. Madam Clerk, can you please introduce the ordinance?
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Menifee, California, acting in its capacity as the legislative body of the Community Facilities District Number 2025-1, Menifee Vista of the City of Menifee, authorizing the levy of special taxes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, can I ask for a motion and a second to introduce the ordinance? I'll move it. Okay, that passes 4-0. Next is item 11.2 for the annexation into the maintenance CFD 2017-1 for Menifee Vista. Does the City Council wish for a presentation, or would we like to forego it?
Forego it.
Let's forego it. All right, next. I will go ahead and open up the public hearing at 6:54. Madam Clerk, can you please confirm this public hearing was legally noticed?
It was.
Do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Have any written protests been received?
There are none.
Are there any persons registered to vote in the territory of the district?
There are none.
Madam Clerk, have all the owners of the taxable property consented to holding the special election immediately following the public hearing?
They have. Madam
Madam Clerk, do you concur that the special election may be held?
I do.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing at 6:54. Does the City Council have any other comments? Hearing none. Okay, can I ask for a motion and a second to adopt a resolution calling an election and to levy a special tax on the land? I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, that passes 4-0. Madam Clerk, have you received the official ballots from the landowners who can cast their votes on behalf of the owners of all the property included in the territory proposed to be annexed?
I have, and it was a yes vote.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, I'll ask for a motion and a second to adopt a resolution declaring results of the special election. I'll move it. That passes 4-0. Madam Clerk, can you please introduce the ordinance?
An ordinance of the City of Menifee, California, amending ordinance number 2017-231 and levying special taxes to be collected during fiscal year 2024-2025 to pay the annual cost of the maintenance and servicing of streetlights, parks, parkways, streets, and roads and open space, and the operation and maintenance of storm drainage systems, a reserve fund for capital replacement and administrative expenses with respect to the City of Menifee Community Facilities District number 2017-1, maintenance services, annexation number 26.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I ask for a motion and a second to introduce the ordinance? I'll go ahead and motion. Okay, that passes 4-0. Next, we're on 11.3, delinquent solid waste accounts for collection on Riverside County's property tax roll. Could I please ask Community Service Director Mariana Mitchell to introduce the item? Good evening, Ms. Mitchell.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Mariana Mitchell, Community Services Director, and it's my pleasure tonight to introduce Senior Management Analyst Corey Jones, who leads our solid waste and recycling programs for our Community Services Department, and will be giving tonight's presentation on the public hearing item.
Good evening, Mrs. Jones.
Hi, good evening, Council. Thanks for having me tonight. So as a public health concern, solid waste collection services are not suspended on delinquent accounts. Instead, the city has adopted Riverside County Ordinance 745 and California Health and Safety Code Section 54723, which allows for delinquent accounts to be tax rolled onto the property tax bill the following year. Accounts are delinquent, considered delinquent after 60 days past due, and notices are mailed to all delinquent accounts detailing options on how to resolve the principal balance prior to being tax rolled, which includes series of penalties and fines. Okay, a breakdown of how tax roll is assessed. So we have the principal balance, which is the principal service charge for the account. There's a 10% allowable penalty that's outlined in the county ordinance. There's also an administrative fee per account at $40.68, as well as a 1.5% interest per month delinquent applied to each delinquent account. So this year, customers with a delinquent account have until July 19th to resolve their principal balance to avoid being tax rolled, as well as being assessed the additional penalties. This is a general timeline of the tax roll calendar and process. WM on around April 15th notified the city of delinquent accounts to be tax rolled. Notices will then mailed out to delinquent accounts detailing the process of how to resolve that principal balance. We are holding the public hearing tonight, June 4th. Again, the deadline to resolve delinquent accounts, the principal balances, will be July 19th of this year. And the final tax roll listing is submitted in August to the county following approval of the tax roll public hearing tonight. So there's the recommended action, and this just gives an illustration of where we started with the number of delinquent accounts and the amount of principal balances when we first notified customers of the process. So that has dropped considerably as of the second, and again, the final listing that will go to the county will be comprised after July 19th. And I do have waste management here if you would like to ask them any questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Jones. Council, do we have any questions for staff or waste management? Oh, Mayor Pro Tem Carwin, go ahead and lead us off.
Thank you. Is there a place that people can go and check if they're on this list? If there were, like somebody said, hey, I haven't gotten a notice or whatever, I don't know if I'm on the list or not, aside from trying to pull up the staff report.
Got it. So yes, if they've received the notice, there's a direct number that they can call to WM, they can also call into our office at Community Services. I have a copy of the list, and also per the process, complete list should be available here at City Hall upon request. So that will be with the city clerk's office.
So there isn't like a website somebody could punch their address into and see if they're on that list?
Oh, no, not like a database that's publicly accessible.
All right, so somebody comes to City Hall, they can ask for community services and check the list?
Yes,
Okay.
they can call or email or come in person.
And is there a method to appeal?
I believe so.
So if somebody is on this list and thinks that they shouldn't be, for example, they've paid it and it didn't get registered, something like that, how do they do that?
Yeah. So we have, obviously, we did receive 3 individuals that responded to us through the public hearing process. And so we are working with those constituents offline. We do have a billing internal process that if there is a dispute on that, we automatically do remove them from the tax roll process while we go through that with them and investigate, whether their concerns, hey, I made this payment on this date, it was not credited, that of that nature.
So, right, but other than coming to the public hearing at City Council, how can somebody get that ball rolling? Who
So
do
they can
contact?
reach out directly to us.
Okay, to
And so,
WM.
and we're in contact with the city, so on a weekly basis, updating, hey, we've received, somebody that's disputed this, we're taking them off the tax roll, that type thing.
Okay.
So they can reach directly out to WM through our website, our 800 number, old school, regular mail. We've had a couple of those, so.
Great, thank you.
Councilman Dynas.
Yes, to follow up on that, then, if someone on the list decides and pays their fees and becomes current, will that show up if they log into their account to see because if they're behind that, they should be able to log into their online account and see if they're behind, right? So that's another way of doing it other than having to come down to City Hall and ask to look at that. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so if they do that, and then you have a process to take them off the list, and then you notify the city that they're no longer on the list, or do you provide an updated list?
Correct, yes. So we are providing on a weekly basis right now, back to the city, communicating with Corey and her team as those are reducing. So as folks are paying, and then we will also provide a list as well after the 19th of everybody that.
Okay, so if there is someone on that list, they're not sure that they can, if they don't have one, create an online account and see what's going on then, so.
Yeah, so they can create an account through us. They can also give us a call as well.
Okay.
And then for those residents that need additional assistance, they can also reach out to Corey or myself through Community Services, and we're happy to help
Okay,
with that process.
great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other questions in the queue. So then I'll go ahead and open up this public hearing next. It is 7:03. Madam Clerk, can you please confirm that the public hearing was legally noticed and if any correspondence has been received?
The public hearing was legally noticed, and the council did receive correspondence in your folders.
Do we have any requests to speak?
There are no requests to speak.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:04. Any other comments from council? Hearing none. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the recommended action as presented? I'll make a motion. And that passes 4-0. Thank you. Okay, next we're on 11.4, first reading and introduction of an ordinance adopting the fire hazard severity zone maps. Can I ask Fire Marshal Sonia Boo to present the item? Good evening.
Good evening,
Welcome, Ms.
Honorable
Boo.
Mayor and City Council and City staff. So I'm here tonight to present just a little bit of background on the LRA local responsibility fire hazard severity zone. Just a little bit of background. The state of California is responsible for updating the fire hazard severity zone maps for both the state responsibility areas and both for the local responsibility areas. Those maps are reevaluated and looked at every 5 years. However, we've been out for quite some time, so the last time that these maps were actually looked at and issued were back in 2008. The hazard severity zones, what are the zones? The maps are required by Government Code 51178 and 51179, which identify the levels of hazards. There are 3 levels of hazard, which are high, very high, and moderate. The LRA maps, these is our new map that was identified by the State Fire Marshal. March 24th, 2025, the maps came out. Were available on our website and for public. And if you haven't seen it, this is the local responsibility area map for the city of Menifee. I threw in a comparison map kind of outlining what we've seen before and what we're seeing now. If you look on this comparison map, anything that's outlined in the white was, with little cross hatches in there, was what the map looked like before when it was adopted in 2008. Anything that you see now with kind of red with the yellow and the orange outlining is kind of an overlay of what the maps look like now. So you can see that the areas of the fire severity have increased than what they were in 2008. Just to give you one of them for the very high fire severity change. In the year 2011, we had 5,622 acres. With the new map coming out in 2025, in the very high fire severity zone change, 10,018 acres. So about 5,000 acres more with the new map than what was with the old 2008 map. For the fire severity zone, the acreage increased to 13,794 total for the city of Menifee. And this number is all of the zones included, so moderate, high, and very high, where before we were looking at only at the very high in the local responsibility area. And with these new maps, it identifies 2 other zones that weren't originally in the 2008 map. So you're seeing moderate, high, and very high. In total, Menifee's acreage increased by 78.1%. And again, that's with all the severity zones. And this is just kind of a timeline where we're at. March 24th is when the state released the map and gave us the maps. Basically said, here are your maps within those 30 days, make it public. So we did, we posted it on our city webpage with the new maps. We seen them when everybody's seen them on the same exact day. We didn't get any earlier chance to look at them. The same day we all seen it. May 23rd, public hearing notice was posted on the city website, so a couple days after. Today is the first reading of the ordinance. The second reading will be June 18th, and then July 18th is when we would send this out to the Board of Forestry within 30 days of the ordinance adoption. And just in conclusion to this, again, the government code 51178 identifies the areas as moderate, high, very high severity zones. And government section 51179 shall designate by ordinance moderate, high, and very high severity zones to its jurisdictions within 120 days of receiving recommendations from the state fire marshal. This ordinance would be in effect July 18th. Within the city of Menifee. And do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Fire Marshal Boo. We appreciate that presentation. I've seen the queue, Assistant City Manager Jones. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, Mayor and City Council. Just wanted to recognize our Fire Marshal, Sonia Boo. She's the first in the county to get this to her council and board, and she's the leader in the county. And so a lot of the fire marshals are turning to her to figure out what to do with this because the state put this 120-day mandate on, and she was one of the best. So we have the best fire marshal serving our city. And having said that, we want to acknowledge that we have to have this adopted by July 22nd. However, the county is not officially adopting, well, they're adopting theirs, but it's not going into effect until August 1st. So we had some individuals from the Building Industry Association reach out and request, could we go in alignment with the county and say, we're adopting it, so we're complying with the state mandates, but it wouldn't go effect until August 1st. And we checked in with Kylie, the assistant fire marshal at the county, and she believed that we could do it July 18th, July 22nd, which is the 120 days, or we could do August 1st to be in compliance with the county. We're probably going to see an uptick of building permits come in right towards the end of that, and so we're in pretty tough home building times right now with a lot of our building and association, because the new homes are not selling as quick with all the stuff that's going on in the world. So giving some of our builders a few extra days might be something that the council wants to consider, and coming into alignment where we have one date, both the county and the city are making this effect. And so just get your building and architectural application in by July 31st. But that is up to the council to make that decision. Just wanted to give you that option.
Well, thank you for providing that insight, Assistant City Manager Jones. Next in the queue, I see Councilman Dynas.
So I'm going to take it that these new zones and things, we're required to do it. It's not like, you said recommended in the report, but I got a feeling it's not recommended from the state. Is that accurate? It's either do it or do it?
Yes, do it or do it.
Okay, well, that kind of simplifies things a lot here, doesn't it? On the very high frequency, we doubled it, but our city hasn't increased in size, and we've actually built more homes and stuff. So what changed that would make it from 5,000 to 10,000 acres?
Good question. So in this identification for zones, new technology came into place. Scientific technology came, which they didn't have before when the old 2008 maps were there. They've included now ember casting, which they didn't include before, terrain, which they didn't have it in before, wind patterns. And so a lot of other new scientific technology came out with this that we didn't have before. And so we're seeing that for some of the fires that we've seen before, or Paradise Fire, for instance, where those ember castings flew for miles down, 5, 8, 10 miles down. And so they're saying that with this new forecasting, it included all that in these new maps. And so that's why we're seeing a larger area that increased.
Okay, so I guess the big question for our residents would be then, how does that affect us? I mean, if you're living in in the neighborhood, in a tract home, what impact does this have on it? I mean, we have hard enough time to get fire insurance already. Does that impact that? Or what can we expect as residents from having to change all this?
Yeah, so the insurance is a big thing, and a lot of people are concerned about insurances and insurance dropping, and we have seen that. So the insurance company, they do use fire hazard models, but they don't use ours. They don't use the maps that we have. They go with wildfire risk models, and we have hazard models. So they don't use our maps, so they should not be reflecting the insurance based on the CAL FIRE maps that are being portrayed out. So they use a completely different model, and so they should not be affecting the insurance rates based on our maps.
Okay, so what about the residents? If does it mean anything to us, or is it just everything's normal, or is there anything that would come in and affect our residents somehow negatively? Whether I know you're gonna put a pool in the backyard, or do something like that. I mean, is anything like that been taken into account? Does that affect decisions that our residents would make?
Yes, so some of those decisions that would be made would be like, for instance, if we're going to add an ADU or we're adding another house to the back, and your home is now in that fire severity, one of those severity zones, in the very high or high, then you would be required to come compliant with the 7A construction standards that would be required within a wild urban interface development or homes. That would be for, you know, an existing home. The newer homes that are getting built are already getting built to those standards. They're getting built with defensible space. They're getting built with hazard mitigation measures already in place on a new built community and home. You know, it's more so for, you know, people who already have a home and they're trying to do, you know, a patio, a deck, and they do fall in those high fire areas, and they would have to become compliant with the 7A construction standards.
I looked at the map, it was kind of hard to tell, but, you know, living in Heritage Lake, looks like part of ours is, you know, Heritage Lake is in, and part of it is, and part of it isn't in the very high. I mean, so if I decide to put a patio cover up, then I'd be affected by this?
It would be depending on your specific parcel. So like if you're saying Heritage Lake, some is and some isn't in there. It's identified for the specific parcel if you fall within one of those 3 zones.
So if I was in the high zone and I wanted to put in a, you know, just a patio cover, you know, what extra requirements and restriction is going to happen to that resident?
It would just be like fire resistant construction. So maybe a fire treated wood, an aluma wood. There are different types of wood that you can use that would meet those
Okay, so there's nothing
standards.
you have to change the existing home, or you don't have to clear your backyard and front yard out to
No,
and
nothing
all that
existing.
kind of stuff. Okay, that's all the question I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
City Attorney Melching, did you have anything to add, sir?
Yeah, I just, thank you, Mayor. I wanted to build a little bit on what Brian was mentioning before. What we've learned is that the county is going to have its ordinance take effect on August 1st. And our recommendation is that you do the same thing. You'll comply with the law. The law says you have to adopt the ordinance within 120 days. Adoption is just a different name for second reading. The second reading is going to occur in 2 weeks. So we'll be well within the time frame for getting the second reading done. But we do recommend revising Section 5 of the ordinance, which now says the ordinance shall take effect 30 days from the date of the adoption, to the ordinance shall take effect on August 1st. That way you'll be fully aligned with the county, fully compliant with the law. That's our recommendation to you. I just wanted to be explicit about that.
Real quickly, why, I guess, is the question. What advantage does it do to batch the county?
Well, our fire marshal serves through the county. The county is sort of, CAL FIRE is run through the county, and so it all coming into alignment at the same time, instead of Menifee having a different set of rules that's going to apply for about 2 weeks than the rest of the people that surround us, makes sense. We don't want to have a situation where where we apply a more stringent requirements on new development applications between, say, July 18th and August 1st than the county does.
So, did the county's plan will supersede the city's then?
No, quite the opposite. The city's plan will be the plan for the city within the city, and the county's plan will be the plan for the county within the county. All we're suggesting is that those two get aligned, and since the county is going on August 1st.
So it's just a matter of timing and nothing else?
That's right, timing
Okay.
only.
All right,
Mayor Pro Tem Carwin.
Thank you, Mayor. With the 78% increase in acreage, does that come with it any kind of grants or funding for our susceptibility? Are we going to get any assistance with the budgeting of this additional area?
It doesn't come with it, but there are grants available that we are looking into. July 1st will be the first grant for home hardening in a home hardening community. So we will take a look and see July 1st when those new requirements for those grants do come available.
All right, so the state is increasing our area by 78%, but requiring us to fund all of that ourselves?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Is there any part of this map that we disagree with? Like, is there any part of this that's been increased in severity that we say, that really shouldn't be an increase in severity? I think you might be reading the map wrong, anything like that, or are we in full agreement with the 10,000 acres?
So we didn't get a chance to look at any of the map. We didn't get to identify any part of the map or locations of the map to might say, I really don't think that's an area that shouldn't be on there. The state just provided the map and said, in the local responsibility area, here is your map and you shall comply with this map. So we did not
But after
agree
it was
or
released,
disagree to it.
right, so after it was released, was there an opportunity then to review it and submit feedback?
There was an opportunity to have a public comment that was available, and those public comments for feedback will be sent to the Board of Forestry with the ordinance once it's adopted for our feedback.
Did we submit any?
There were 4 public comments in the 30-day open period.
Well, on behalf of our area's personnel, did we make any official comments?
Our area personnel, meaning
Did you send anything to the Board of Forestry saying you got it wrong?
I did not send that on behalf of City of Menifee.
Mayor Pro Tem, the state was very clear with us. You can provide comments, but we will not respond to them or change the maps.
Right, so like if this heat area was over a lake, we wouldn't be able to point that out and say, maybe you've got this wrong.
You could point it out that it was wrong, but they're not going to change the maps. They explicitly said this is not for community engagement or collaboration. This is the map, and we will not change it.
Was there anyone from Riverside County on the committee that made this map?
No.
Right on. So when people ask me every day, what is it that the city council actually does if you don't have any authority to do anything? This is an example of we just approve the stuff that we get told to approve, right? Yeah, okay, nothing further.
Fire Marshal Boo, did the state send any personnel or representatives to walk our boundary lines, or was this done all with just the new technology you mentioned?
I think it was a combination of both. A lot of it was the technology-driven science behind it, and there was a designated person from the CAL FIRE agency that was assigned to our region.
And did that representative from the CAL FIRE agency, give us a courtesy heads up, hey, we're in your backyard, how are you, anything like that?
They did not give me personally, no.
Oh, that's a little rude, huh? Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you, Fire Marshal Boo. Do I see any other comments or questions in the queue? Okay, I see none. Okay, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing at 7:24. Madam Clerk, can you confirm this public hearing has been legally noticed and if any correspondence has been received?
The item was legally noticed, and correspondence was received and was included in the agenda packet.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak?
There are none.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:24. Council, any other comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you, what's that, Mayor Pro Tem? Nothing?
I said public comment? No.
Okay, all right. No other comments. Madam Clerk, can you please introduce the ordinance?
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Menifee, California, adopting the fire hazard severity zones pursuant to Government Code Section 51178.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second to introduce the ordinance? Oh, and while we're on that, City Attorney Melching, should we mention as amended to be adopted on the 1st?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
go ahead and read it out properly. That way we do it properly.
Sure. Section 5 of the ordinance would be amended to read in full as follows. This ordinance shall take effect on August 1st, 2025. period.
Thank you, City Attorney Melching. I'll go ahead and move. That passes 4-0. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for
sir.
being here.
Have a good evening.
Next, we're on discussion items. This is 12.1, Community Facilities District 2022-2, McLaughlin Village, issuance of special tax bonds. Could I please ask Director Hickey to introduce the item?
Good evening again, Mayor, members of the council. The item we have here for you tonight is for the issuance of special tax bonds, Series 2025A, for Community Facilities District number 22-2, McLaughlin Village. The item will be presented by financial analyst Lori Lockwood, and we also have members of our financing team here from our special tax consultant, the underwriter, our bond counsel, and our municipal advisor. So with that, I'll bring Lori up for the presentation.
Good evening, Ms. Lockwood.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. As Mr. Hickey said, we're here tonight to talk about a request to issue bonds for CFD 2022-2. There we go. This project has been in the work for a while now. The CFD was formed in August of 2022. This development is located at the southeast corner of McLaughlin Road and Sun City Boulevard, adjacent to Interstate 215. The project is being developed by Century Communities, and it consists of 126 single-family homes. Here you can see the development. Special thanks to our AV team for taking these photos for us for this presentation. Here we've got a summary of the development status. As of April 1st, 93 of the homes were conveyed to individual owners. 2 models were owned by the developer. 25 homes were under construction, and there were 6 finished lots waiting to be developed. This shows the general location of the development. You can see it's at the north end of the city, just west of Interstate 215 in District 1. This is an aerial view of the development. You should note that the directionality is possibly not what you would expect. Newport Road is all the way at the top of the screen there. We're looking south as we look at Newport Road. The development is highlighted in yellow, and again, just west of Interstate 215. You can see that most of the homes have been built. The bonds that you're going to be discussing tonight are being issued potentially at the tail end of development and would be the first and only issuance of bonds for McLaughlin Village. This is an overview of the bond financing. Back when the district was formed in August of 2022, the council authorized issuing bonds not to exceed $6 million. Based on fairly recent market conditions, it's estimated that we might issue $5 million worth of bonds. Roughly $4.25 million of the proceeds would be used to finance public improvements that's going to benefit the property owners who live within the district. In fiscal year 25-26, homeowners would pay a special tax ranging between $2,563 or $2,659. That special assessment would raise at a rate of 2% a year. Here we break down how the proceeds would be used. You can see that the estimate is that the par value of the bonds would be $5,015,000. We are expecting a slight premium on the sale price of the bonds. The final maturity of the bonds would be in 2055, representing a 30-year term. Down at the bottom, you can see the uses of the bond proceeds. We'd put $4.25 million in the project fund. We'd set aside $450,000 into a reserve fund, and then a smaller amount would be used to pay for expenses related to the issuance. Off to the right, you've got a graph that demonstrates, well, what it's showing you is the vertical bars are the debt service for each year. The horizontal line that goes across the top represents the special assessment revenues. So what this illustrates is that at all times, we expect to have special assessment revenue enough to cover debt service on the bonds throughout the length of the bonds. So we're here tonight to discuss the issuance of the bonds. It's a long process. It started when the financing team got together and began to draft the legal and financing documents, as well as the bond resolution. After that happens, the issuer reviews the financing documents. The city is the issuer. That's what you guys are doing tonight, reviewing the financing documents. If you approve the financing documents, the underwriter, we're working with Stifel on this deal, will work to market and sell the bonds to investors. Once the bonds are sold, the trustee gets the money, and they set aside the money for the capital projects, the reserve fund, and they pay the cost of issuance. After the trustee receives the money, we're basically in debt service mode. So special taxes are levied, and they're collected by the county in April and December. They get forwarded to the city, and the trustee will pay the bond owners twice a year in September and March, the interest they're due. If the bond financing documents are approved tonight, this is the tentative schedule we'd be working with. On July 1st, we would expect the underwriter to post the preliminary official statement, making it available to prospective investors. Stifel would work over the next week to market those bonds to investors. We would price the bonds roundabouts July 7th, and we would expect to close the bond deal the third week in July. Tonight, we are asking the council to adopt a resolution that would authorize the issuance of the special tax bonds and the execution of the bond documents in connection with CFD 2022-2. We're also asking that you authorize the Finance Department to establish the necessary budgets and the corresponding appropriations. That wraps up the presentation. I'm happy to take any questions you have, and we also have consultants here if they could best answer.
Thank you, Mrs. Lockwood and Mr. Hickey, for all the hard work you're doing behind the scenes on this. Council, do we have any questions for staff? Councilman Dynas.
Just one question, just to show that I actually read some of this. The POS shows a $4.8 million par amount, but yet you're showing here a $5 million par amount. Was that increase since this was published? This was in our packet.
Okay.
So I'm asking.
I understand. I'm not looking at that exact document. I know that a lot of these documents that we're creating are based on different points in time. Yes? Okay, yes. It's because it was based on a number at a slightly different point.
They'll be revised before it goes to press then? Okay.
I don't expect any of these to be exact.
I just had some questions.
I think it's also worth noting that there was a lot of volatility in the bond market over the last several months due to what's happening at the federal level. And so this has really been a moving target. And so it'll be finalized once we have the approval tonight. We'll finalize what we really expect to be able to issue the bonds for.
Mayor Pro Tem Carwin.
Thank you. This might be a little tangential, but does the CFD include any permission for patrolling or law enforcement in the area?
This one does not.
The reason I'm asking is because that last slide that you put up with the view showed tire marks of people doing donuts all the way down McLaughlin. Gotcha. And I've been told that over and over and over again. So, you know, that little animation at the end there, just going right up McLaughlin, it was just tire marks after tire marks, people squealing out and doing drag racing and donuts over there. And I was just hoping that maybe some of the money could be used to send the community services officer through there once in a while. But you're telling me it's not for that.
I hear what you're saying, but no, this CFD was not structured to include law enforcement charges.
Is there any authority that would allow us to do that in future CFDs?
We can definitely explore the possibility of covering public safety through a CFD.
Yeah, I think that might solve some of our issues as these areas of the city that are growing, that are becoming more modern, with these long, hidden, straight roads, I think that might help us cover some of this stuff in the future. So I'd appreciate it if maybe in future CFDs we could take a look at that and partner with our law enforcement to see if we could add that in. Thank you.
Seeing no other questions from council, Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak or has any correspondence been received?
There are none.
Okay, thank you. Council, any other comments? Hearing none, can I ask for a motion and a second to approve the recommended action as presented? That passes 4-0. Next, we're on city attorney reports. City Attorney Melching, do you have anything to report?
I don't want to break my string, Mayor. No, not tonight.
Thank you, City Attorney Melching. City Manager Villa, do you have anything to report?
No.
Thank you, City Manager Villa. Future agenda requests from council members. Fellow council members, any future agenda item requests? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 7:36. Good night, Menifee.